Okay, let's do it. I'd like to welcome on a friend of the show, old head from the community, and former co-host of Ministry of Science, Dr. Marcus, aka Homozygoat. Congratulations on the new prefix, by the way.
Oh god, it still feels very, very bizarre.
So you have a doctorate in biology, right?
Yeah, molecular biology.
Molecular biology. Since you're not a medical doctor, do you follow the trend of insisting that people call you doctor?
I usually only pull rank if I'm like in a professional context, and I basically say like, call me it once just to acknowledge the achievement and then never do it again.
Just acknowledge the student loans first. So I wanted to bring you on for a couple reasons. Not only is the plague back in the UK. Not only is bird flu still ravaging the country and, egg prices and whatnot, COVID's still going on, but now RFK Jr. has made a new department at HHS. So wherever you'd like to kind of start and give us our updates,
As it pertains to plague, it actually, every once in a while, you actually hear a story about either somebody who like works on a farm or has exposure to animals like prairie dogs in the wild, where the plague actually comes back and infects like a human here or a human there. At least the good news for what happened in the UK, that seemed to be a bit of a false alarm. It wasn't actually a plague. It seems like they actually got something mixed up in terms of like data or like something in the chart. So it was actually not the plague. There was no human case in the UK, which is a good thing. But even in like America, you'll hear every now and again somebody will get the plague, which is a bacterial infection because they were exposed to like natural reservoirs of the bacteria like prairie dogs. We're not having a plague outbreak despite the presence of somebody like RFK.
Well, we could touch on RFK since that's pretty prescient.
For sure.
The announcement just hit yesterday. So RFK is making a new department. Let me pull it up here. RFK Jr. yesterday said, we are streamlining HHS to make our agency more efficient and effective. We will eliminate an entire alphabet soup of departments. I don't know what that means, while preserving their core function of merging them into a new organization called the Administration for a Healthy America. Aha! This overhaul will improve the health of the entire nation to make America healthy again. I don't know exactly what departments are getting gutted in this. I would imagine that part of the ending of all long COVID research funding is definitely a part of it.
Yeah, so I mean that announcement came with about I think 10,000 additional layoffs within HHS. So what he's basically doing is he's going to be consolidating as much as he can within like CDC, FDA, USDA, like any other alphabet agency that falls under the purview of HHS. He's essentially trying to consolidate it into one singular entity where he can just freely install a bunch of yes men. I think insofar as the aha is concerned, it's going to be more aesthetics than anything else, because you can't really just consolidate these massive juggernauts like CDC, FDA, and USDA into one thing. This is all essentially, I think, window dressing for more layoffs. And Graham, I know you probably remember Dr. Neuro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got fired. He's spending time trying to like organize with all the other fired people just to try and make sure they have like continuity of pay to make sure that they can survive until they find something. So that's kind of been priority number one for him, is to essentially start up like other private signal groups to figure out like how people can survive through the mass layoffs. But yeah, what RFK is doing, again, I think it's more window dressing than anything else. He's going to, and he's already in the process of installing a handful of like other anti-vax yes men freaks to do a wide variety of things. Like most recently, he just hired 2 people who, strangely enough, were charged with practicing medicine without a MD by trying to cure autism with puberty blockers, which is a horrifying and wild sentence. Those people have now officially been hired to reinvestigate the links between vaccines and autism in an official capacity. So like RFK is spending his time doing that and promoting measles pseudoscience. So there's no real like sinister plan or plot or massive new department effort. This is just window dressing for his bullshit. That's basically what it is.
So puberty blockers for teens with autism, but no gender affirming care in the form of like hormones and puberty blockers for teens who may be experiencing gender dysphoria, which according to RFK, might be caused by the vaccines that's making them autistic and trans. So, okay. Weird way to circle that one around. Okay.
It's funny how that comes full circle because they're trying to pull puberty blockers from people who like actually want and need it.
Right.
So, you know, it's just one like incoherent, hypocritical mess. No one ever said the right was logical or scientifically accurate.
True. So someone did mention about 2,400 CDC employees were laid off. I'm sure, I don't know how recent that was, but Dr. Neuro, he was laid off a couple weeks ago. Current state of HHS notwithstanding, the Trump administration doesn't seem super concerned about much of anything. As far as people that are needing to get vaccines, those are, as far as I understand it, now, you know, you got to pay out of pocket or through your insurance or some programs. Kind of makes it difficult because states like mine, our Louisiana Department of Health has made it a policy that we can't inform the public about vaccines or their availability or, you know, like where you can get them. Like it's just edict, we can't do that now.
Yeah, and that's essentially a glimpse into the future for what other red states in particular are going to adopt as their official policy. But as you mentioned, Louisiana literally came out even before Trump admin policy started to set in and basically said they're not allowed to essentially tell the public about vaccines as a concept. Huh? And that's where we're going with RFK Jr.'s HHS and Jay Bhattacharya's NIH. And interestingly, that's a nominee that doesn't get talked about very much, but that guy's probably the most sinister of them all. Jay Bhattacharya, who is a Stanford Hoover Institute employee, who is an MD PhD, but has never seen a patient in his life. He's a healthcare economist who now runs the NIH, who has been essentially picked personally by right-wing dark money. Like he's been taking Coke and other billionaire money for a very long time. But that guy was essentially the dude who like crafted the mass infection policy we got from the Trump admin on COVID that Democrats were also seemingly happy to adopt too. So between like the two of them, they're spiking pretty much any policy that is about vaccine uptake, dealing with mis and disinformation, and promoting vaccines as a concept. So any research grants that have been allocated for that are now in the process of being rescinded just about immediately. And of course, all the mis and disinformation researchers are like, not only does this make my career hard to actually literally be a scientist, but this is going to have ramifications down the line in terms of preventable death, because they're essentially going to now functionally turbocharge the massive mis and disinformation problem we have on the internet. And what all this boils down to for RFK is money, because even though he, you know, quote unquote, stepped down from his anti-vaccine organization, he's essentially still running it, right? He's fundraised a couple $10,000s off the measles outbreak in Texas right now. So essentially what this is going to boil down to is a cycle where the government makes it impossible for any science to happen about vaccines or misinformation, makes it impossible for any scientist or physician to advertise these things. And in that void, the misinformation is going to show up and fill the void. And in turn, you're going to see a cottage industry pop up where they're going to start selling, you know, vitamin A supplements or colloidal silver, because there's Twitch ads for that shit now, and other snake oil, basically, and they're going to profit off of the needless death and misinformation. So when we see things like measles escalating, when we see things like pertussis coming back, when the vaccine preventable illnesses start returning in mass, they're very well positioned to profit off of it. And what they're doing is they're essentially cutting off the mis and disinformation research and the vaccine uptake at the knees.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on today. Everybody go check out Marcus. You're not on Twitter anymore. You're on Blue Sky. I saw that today.
Yep.
So Blue Skyers, you know, you got your justice today. You can go follow Marcus over there. And yeah, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you, you know, walking us through this. Sometimes people need to be reminded of things that we went over literally 5 years ago. Super glad we could have Homozygoat on for that discussion. I hope that was educational for many of you.